From Ocean City, Maryland to Dothan, Alabama. From Jackson, Mississippi to Lake Charles, Louisiana. Let's ride. We want to ride shotgun with you for the next hour, talking trucking with Deaton and Doty, Christian and Kumar. How's it going, everyone?
Hello. Great. What's up?
Welcome to episode 56, Talkin Truckin. Today on the show, Ray, Jim, Nate, Kevin, and John Buchanan making his second appearance on the show. Ray, where are you?
Bridge, however you say it, Tennessee, out of Love's.
Okay. John, where are you at?
I am in Lincoln, Alabama.
Lincoln, Alabama. And Jim Mackey is coming. He was in the Cincinnati area.
I'm here.
Oh, he made it. He made it. Okay. So, Jim, you're still in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I'm 5 miles an hour.
Nate, where are you at?
I am in Ranger, Texas.
In there.
Ranger, Texas. And Kev?
I'm trying to get through Houston, Texas.
Okay. Everyone's, well, it's traffic time.
Yeah.
Everyone's in traffic.
Is one of y'all going to swing by the house and cut the grass?
Did you leave the pool gate open for them?
Yeah, pool gate's open.
So we can use
Yeah.
the grill anytime we want to, right?
Yeah,
And
the
there's
floaties are
towels in
blown
the
up.
back room.
Yeah, and the refrigerator.
And there's cactus in the fridge if you want to grill it.
Yeah.
Today on the show, Trucking News with Ian. Freight market update. You can see on screen Christian Sneed from Roanoke and Mike Doty, the original Florida man, and myself. Wide World of Sports with Joel Howell. And drivers will battle Kumar and trucking questions with Kumar. Also in studio, our producer Zach Kern and the famous Kumar.
Hello.
Hello. So, couple things I want to go over this week. So we started the St. Christopher Fund at the beginning of the year, and it's coming to an end. We're ending it on Memorial Day weekend, which is about 2 weeks from now. We raised close to what was almost $600.
Yeah. Yep.
So talking truck between all of us when we've contributed, Kumar will start collecting that up over the next few weeks, and then we'll mail it to him June 1st. So but Talkin Truckin is gonna round it up to $1,000. So we'll throw in the rest. So we're gonna send $1,000 to St. Jude's, and we have a couple more.
St. Christopher.
I'm sorry, St. Christopher's. Yeah, and then starting June 1st, we will start the St. Jude's Fund until Christmas.
Good deal.
Also, the annual fishing contest that the Sneed household won first place last year. Annual fishing contest last year. What did we pay out? $350 for the winner, right, Christian? I believe.
Yep.
And then we paid out I think a couple $100 to the runner-up.
You mean You mean the first loser?
Yeah.
You ain't first or last.
So this year we're going to run same thing. We're going to go till the end of summer to Labor Day weekend fishing contest. First place $400, second place $200, third place $100. So there's a little bit more money in it this year. Send your pictures into Kumar. You can text them, you can email them, you can put them on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Kumar.
Yeah.
So you can put them on the Talkin Truckin Facebook page. And I'm excited to see. We had a lot of great pictures last year, so that'll be fun. You fish, John? Yeah, you.
No. I know. I had to unmute my thing. I used to fish a long time ago. I just don't have time.
Yeah. Same with me. I used to fish a lot, and I haven't fished in years. I didn't even enter last year's contest. But I'm going to make a special trip out this summer and go fishing just to enter the contest.
Same here.
Yeah. So, Christian, make sure you let your sons know. Doty, don't be taking pictures of people coming in the bait shop with those monsters. You guys gotta enter your own.
This bluefin tuna in the bay.
Yeah.
No, I'll bow out again, and I'll do I'll do $100 gift card from Fish Talkers for
the
the
contest.
store. Yeah, we got an online store they could use it on, so they'll be able to spend it.
Cool. So we'll make it 500 then to the winner, 200 to the runner-up, and third place 100. Got it?
Who are we going to have as the judges? We're going to do the same thing we did last?
I thought that was really cool that Denny, that owns Al's Quality Market here in Barberton, he really enjoyed doing it. So he said he would do it again. So I was going to ask him to do it again if you guys are cool with it. He was independent. He didn't know whose pictures were whose. He doesn't know who anybody was, and he really took the time to go through them and select the best picture. So just like we did last year, it was the best, not just the biggest fish, inland lake fish or ocean fish, whatever, but it was the best overall picture, the fish, the setting, everything. And that's why I think your son won, Christian, because the lighting and the sky behind him, that's what Denny said. It was just the whole picture was just pretty amazing, and it was.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I'm banking on for this year. I'm gonna make the coolest picture possible.
Yeah, with a goldfish.
Exactly.
Not the bait.
Little picture illusion.
Yeah. So, annual fishing contest, the St. Jude's. We're starting all that June 1st, which is right around Memorial Day weekend.
So you get
Also,
fish your glamour shots.
Yeah, glamour shots for fish. Also, just to have a little fun next week, guys. You know how we did the top 5 movies, which Nate Garner loved because he loves movies, right, Nate?
Oh yeah, I love movies.
Yeah. So next week, you got a week, guys. Write it down. We're going to go over top 5 sitcoms of all time.
Okay.
So let me know what you think. We've already been talking about it here in the office, and I think Seinfeld will probably be on everybody's list. But, yeah. You can go old, you can go recent, and also, what did we talk about? It could be like the cartoon ones. As long as it's a half hour and show and it's comedic, it counts. Put your list together.
Deal.
And behind Joel, you see that we have Jason.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. That's because this week is Friday the 13th. So there you have it. This week on the show, we're going to talk a little bit about, we'll get over some market conditions. Mike and Christian can let us know what they're seeing out there. Speed limiters. We had some people that requested us to talk a little bit more about the proposed speed limiter thing that's going on with the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration. And so we'll get into that a little bit. And so, yeah, Joel, you want to get into some sports? Let us know what's going on with sports, and then we'll take it from there.
What sports? What are we talking about?
Yeah, some basketball, some wrestling.
All right. Well, what's up, guys? No commercial as usual. Welcome back to the sports show that talks about fuel prices, brake chambers, and sitcoms. I am your host, Joel Howell. And here we are in the second week of May, getting right into it. Let's go to the NBA. Right now, the NBA playoffs are underway. Philly and Miami. Miami beat Philly pretty good last night. They take a 3-2 series lead in the best of 7. In the other Eastern game, Boston and Milwaukee are tied. Their game 5 is tonight in Milwaukee. Over in the West,
I took Milwaukee out of the East, Joel. Remember?
Milwaukee's best, maybe.
I got the Bucks.
Yeah, maybe the Brew. Golden State has a 3-1 lead over Memphis right now. That's in the best of 7 as well. And Phoenix, a 3-2 lead over Dallas. Over in the MLB, Major League Baseball, American League East, New York Yankees sit at 21-8 in the Central. Minnesota sits at 18-12. Out west, the Angels in the lead, 21-11 over the National League. The other New York team, the Mets, at 21-10 over the Central. Milwaukee at 20-11, and out west, Dodgers have a comfortable 20-8 record. Over in the NHL, playoff time. NHL playoff time. Boston and Carolina. Carolina with a 3-2 lead in the best of 7 in that series. Toronto, 3-2 lead over Tampa Bay Lightning in that series. St. Louis Blues, 3-2 lead over Minnesota. LA, 3-2 lead over Edmonton. Pittsburgh, 3-1 lead over New York Rangers. Washington, Florida, all tied at 2 apiece. Dallas and Calgary tied at 2 apiece. And Colorado swept Nashville to advance in that series. 16 teams, 8 series going on right now. Over in the NFL, not much going on. They got Brady joining Fox after he retires, whenever that will be. And just a few free agent signings, a few running backs around the league signing with different teams. Sony Michel with the Dolphins for one. And that is all in the NFL. Over in NASCAR, in the standings right now, top 10. At number 10 in the Cup standings is Denny Hamlin. Number 9 is Austin Centric. Number 8, can't read my own writing, Chase Briscoe. Number 7, Kyle Larson. Number 6, Alex Bowman. Number 5, Kyle Busch. Number 4, Joey Logano. Number 3, Chase Elliott. Number 2, Ross Chastain. And number 1, currently, William Byron, lead in the standings this weekend out in Kansas Motor Speedway. Over in golf, tomorrow, the 12th through the 15th, AT&T Byron Nelson Classic down in McKinney, Texas. Top 5 in golf currently right now. Number 5, Patrick Cantlay. Number 4, Cameron Smith. Number 3, Colin Morikawa. Number 2, John Ram. And number 1, Scotty Scheffler. And over in the MMA, UFC Fight Night this weekend, Las Vegas, on the 14th. And that is what's cooking in sports there, the second week of May. Does anybody else have any comments?
Well, UFC 274 was this weekend,
Oh,
which turned out to be pretty good. Main event, Charles Oliveira beat Justin Gaethje with a submission. It was a pretty good fight. Only went 3 minutes, but I mean, for what it was pretty exciting. Then Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza. She lost her title to Carla Esparza. It was a very boring fight, and I will never watch it again.
Add some chairs next time.
And then just one more notable fight. Michael Chandler fought Tony Ferguson, and it ended up being the performance of the night when Michael Chandler threw a front kick right to
Face.
Tony Ferguson's head.
To the face.
Yeah, and it was pretty brutal. It was a nap. He took like a 5-minute nap or something like that, snoring and everything. Yeah, but it was a good pay-per-view for the most part.
One more fight. California will not be prosecuting Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yeah, I read that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Good.
prosecute anybody. So.
Can't be poking the bear like that.
I mean, yeah, you're drunk messing with Mike Tyson. You're.
He was asking.
I mean, like,
So whatever happened, did he got arrested?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got arrested. He got charged, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, nothing for Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't start it. He was
Yeah.
just defending himself.
Yeah, and it
And you
seemed
could
like
tell
Go ahead.
Mike Tyson held back a little bit. He just smacked
yeah.
him a little bit.
Oh yeah, the guy still has his ears.
Yeah, right.
Tyson has lethal hands. I mean, if he wanted to hurt him, that guy would have.
Oh yeah, he got away lightly. That guy.
Hey, Russ, can you get him on the show?
Yeah. Working on it.
Great.
You know, guys, I was just really mad. It was bothering me.
If we can't get Tyson, let's get the guy that picked the fight with him. So
Yeah, right.
Let's get that guy, and then the guy who tackled Dave Chappelle. Let's get him too. Oh, and maybe Will Smith. We could get him on.
Hey, John, can you click off screen and stay on? Because it'll make it easier for Matthew when he has only 4 screens to do his stuff. Thanks. So, thanks, Joel, for the sports update.
Yep.
So let's talk about this, guys. I'll just go over. I'm going to read a little bit here too, and then we'll talk about it. So basically, mandatory speed limiters under consideration once again. It was proposed, Christian, I think in 2016. Is that right? Somewhere around there. And it didn't didn't go through. What is it? When Kumar brought it up to me, I said, "What do you mean? We're governors? Like we govern the speed as a carrier of our trucks?" He said, "No." I wasn't really sure, but the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration said it's going to try again to mandate speed limiters for heavy trucks and commercial vehicles. FMCSA announced it intends to publish a supplemental notice of proposed rulemaking to follow up on the 2016 proposed rule that was jointly issued by the FMCSA and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The 2016 proposal never made it to a final regulation and never came up with a proposed maximum speed, although the proposal discussed possible limits of 60, 65, and 68. This new proposal will require interstate motor carriers operating trucks within the capability of governing maximum speed limits to those vehicles to a speed to be determined by the rulemaking for the service life of the vehicle. So in other words, as long as it's on the road.
So wait, Russ, I'm confused a little bit real quick.
Okay.
I thought it was the governors too. Like they're wanting governors on the truck.
Well, no, and it basically is, but it's saying that every commercial motor vehicle cannot go over this speed that they're proposing.
Oh, even if they're governed or not, once they pass the law, they better not see you going over.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, you
speed.
can't because that requires, and I'll get into that a little bit. But from what I read, and Christian, I'm sure you read it too. They're already getting input from carriers and mechanical and manufacturing people because they're going to mandate it, or they're trying to mandate it where it's set in the ECM, I guess, and so you have to comply, right?
Yeah, it's just like how you used to have limiters, like if you have plug-in software and you can throw the miles per hour down on the unit, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah. So the speed limiter rule would apply to commercial motor vehicles in interstate commerce with a GVWR, over 26,000 pounds that are equipped with an electronic engine control unit. There you go. This proposal differs from the 2016 one in that it will specifically apply to the carriers. So the previous one proposed would have required speed limiters to be installed and set at the factory. The FMCSA version would have required interstate fleets to maintain those speed limiters. FMCSA said it intends to move forward this time with a separate motor carrier-based speed limiter rulemaking. The agency said it believes that placing the requirements on the motor carriers will ensure compliance with the rule and potentially avoid confusion of who is responsible. FMCSA believes the requirements can be met by the motor carriers, but is asking for comments on topics such as making the rule applicable only to CMVs manufactured after a certain date, such
please.
as 2003.
Or 2025.
What do you mean?
Yeah, for the future, so we don't have to currently abide by it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in other words, don't put on any of the trucks that are currently on the road.
I think they're going to go back and put it on trucks. It says that it says such as.
Right. Yeah, and that's what they're looking. They say they want feedback. They're going to go back. It's the same thing with ELDs. They go back as far as they can, and they rodeo as many people in as possible.
Right. So they also are asking for comments whether a retrofit requirement would be necessary. There you go. What percentage of the commercial motor vehicle fleet currently uses speed limiting devices, which pretty much all your big, fleets and training fleets do govern their trucks lower than the 70 or, whatever the tire rating is. If in use, at what maximum speed are the devices generally set? What skill sets or training are needed for motor carriers' maintenance personnel to adjust or program ECUs to set speed limits? What tools or equipment are needed to adjust or program ECUs, and how long adjustments of reprogram of the ECU would take? And should FMCSA include classes 3 through 6? That's your 10,000 to up to 26,000. So that would be probably like some of your smaller box trucks.
I think they should do it for RVs too. I've never seen so many unqualified old men taking 45-foot RVs down the highway.
I know.
Why don't we
You don't
start
have to
doing
be
more of
qualified.
that?
Yeah.
And
That is
maybe
so
the,
true.
maybe the 40-foot U-Hauls with a guy that looks like he's 15 years old going 85 miles an hour. Just a
Yeah.
thought.
I think they should
Well-
have a speed maximizer. You shouldn't be able to go under 85.
That's
So as of
think-
right now, there's no defined maximum speed setting, and there's no proposed time frame for implementing speed devices. This notice is the start of data gathering exercise in which the FMCSA collects information from fleets on their use of speed limiters. The National Transportation Safety Board, which has powers only to advise, not to regulate, recently called for the federal government to set performance standards for advanced speed limiting technology for heavy vehicles and to require that all newly manufactured heavy vehicles be equipped with such devices. So they're all on board with this, and they're in the gathering of facts stage.
I remember back when the safer scores were rolling out, and it was for safety at first, and that was one thing to keep people safe. And then it was at this phase, it was data collection, and then it went to enforcement, which means now that we end up having guys that can receive a warning against their record and not have the due process in court. And when you start to follow the money, that's the problem. If this becomes monetized, which it will, because it will be enforcement when it's illegal to do it. It will just be another category on FMCSA, unfortunately, if it goes through. So call your congressman.
So
I
they're,
agree with it.
I told you they're all on board, but not everybody is. So the OOIDA, the Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association, criticized the agency's plan to require speed limiters, claiming they would actually increase highway crashes as restricted truck speeds lead to rolling roadblocks and road rage. OOIDA said policies and devices that limit speeds for large trucks create unnecessary congestion and dangerous speed differentials among vehicles on the highway, which lead to higher accident involvement rates. Studies and research have already proven that what we were all taught long ago in driver's ed classes, that traffic is safest when vehicles all travel at the same relative speed, said OOIDA President Todd Spencer in a statement. Limiting trucks to speeds below the flow of traffic increases interactions between vehicles, which can lead to more crashes.
Makes sense.
Additionally, most crashes involving CMVs occur in areas with speed limits below 55 miles an hour, mitigating the effect of any potential mandate, OOIDA said. Jim Mackey, weigh in on this. I heard you back there. What do you think? You there, Jim? We might have lost him. Ray?
Well, what? Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind is, I mean, we see how much road rage is stirred up already whenever a JB Hunt truck tries to pass up a Swift truck. How much? I mean, we're going to be increasing road rage now, and and this is going to not happen in pockets, but all over the country. I mean, these trucks got to be able to pass each other.
Well, that's the first thing I thought about. If we're all at the same speed, just like you said, Ray, when you see a JB Hunt trying to pass a Swift, you get two trucks in, one in the hammer lane, one in the slow lane, and no one's going anywhere. They're going the same speed. How do you get around them?
Yeah, and neither one of them want to let off the pedal because they're both in a hurry.
Exactly.
Now you're
The
gonna
first thing I think of is the stretch of I-40 between Little Rock and West Memphis.
Yeah.
Because it's truck speed limit 65. A lot of the trucks run 70, but they won't go over 70. And that whole stretch of highway is always bottlenecked because of that. 45. And you got so much road rage from the four-wheelers and all that because of all the bottleneck right there because of the truck restriction of the four-wheelers supposed to be running 75 and the trucks running 65.
Yeah,
and if all
can't get around them.
Yeah, and if all the trucks are governed at 65, and then if you got a truck that has, 15,000 pounds, and another one got 40,000 pounds, and like you said, going up a hill, it's just going to be a rolling roadblock.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, just think about all the trucks that only go 65. So they're all in the right lane going 65 mile an hour, creating a train.
Yeah.
Now, cars can't go through to get off their exit they want. They can't come on the exits to get into the flow of traffic like they used to, and all that. And it's just going to create a lot of road rage.
I agree. And so does the OOIDA president.
My question is, how many deadly accidents are there involving semi-trucks that come down to speed and speed alone? I mean, is there an epidemic of drivers going 100 miles an hour crashing and killing everybody?
It's the fatality rate that they're looking at, because the fatality rate of a high-speed crash is much greater than a 30 to 40 mile an hour crash.
Yeah.
It's much more devastating. Now, on a percentage of accidents, I think that'd be a good statistic to look into, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's driven past a truck that's been upside down, sideways, and backwards, and you saw that truck passing you 10 minutes before it. Kind of the survival of the fittest or the smartest. This problem should solve itself at some point. Guys are going 85 on a snowy road that they can't see anything. The problem is there's devastating consequences. I think there's another element to that no one's touching on, is that most of the guys that are not large trucking companies, 90% of the market is made up of something called small trucking companies,
right?
And owner operators, which are independent contractors, which independence means they like to be independent. They like to be free. To make their own decisions. And I think that there's going to be an offset to this, the same way there was when CSA 2010 rolled out, which was that you're going to have guys that have made this industry start to leave, and all of that knowledge and wisdom is going to leave with them. And they say, hey, I'm just getting handcuffed. I might as well go do a local job. If I can't get down the road and pick my own speed and safely travel down the road, we're going to have a lot of that workforce leave.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, okay, Swift gets knocked in the pants all the time about all their crashes, but they're all governed at 65,
62.
Or 60. Yeah,
it used to be 62.
Yeah, 62, 65. But the thing is they're slower and more restrictive, but you go out here and look at all the bull haulers run.
Yeah.
Is it because they're slower and people's road raging them and running them off the road? Or
that boils down to experience with Swift. Most of the Swift drivers are new. They're learning, and they have more trucks on the road than what almost any other. They're one of the biggest carriers, so you're going to see more accidents from them just out of sheer numbers.
But that's the reason they get the bonehead trucker of the week a lot on Bonehead Truck.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
They're carrying light poles and things down the road.
Well, they have trainers that have 6 months experience. They're training
exactly.
Students training students.
That, but if you look at Texas and how open their speed limits are in Texas, and then you look at some of the other states, Oklahoma, for example, you see more crashes in Texas than you do in Oklahoma.
I have a friend that's a bull hauler. Not anymore. He's done now, and you guys out on the road, you guys know this. Those guys fly down the road, and you know what he always told me? The DOT leaves him alone. They don't want to pull him in and hold him up and be responsible for a whole trailer full of animals that die because they're in the heat and he's stopped. So they look the other way, and it's been that way. So how do what about that?
Well,
Those guys fly.
I think we go ahead and we wrap all of our trailers to look like bull haulers. We just get a giant 3M wrap and just keep the pedal down, guys.
But, hey, the faster you drive, the cooler that cattle is.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they say.
Well, and then you look at the indirect cost of time. So if we're slowing all these trucks down and creating all these headaches in traffic, and we're bottlenecking the highways, what's that going to do to the cost of goods? I mean, you figure it's probably every bit of a 10 or 15% delay for more guys can end up and go through the highway, especially on a long haul, or timeliness and the length of transit.
Also, if this is slowing things down, which it will, I believe, what if you miss an appointment at Walmart or at Sam's Club or, there's going to be a lot more of that of trucks, and you know how it is trying to reschedule one of those appointments. That could be another fallout of this. Just with the whole,
going to be, it'll be kind of be like
mess all the way around.
When the e-logs came in too. You had a drove of people leave the market because of e-logs, and the same thing is going to happen if they do the limiters or governors as well. And freight rates will go up, but it'll eventually adjust itself to to correct. But yeah, you're just gonna have a lot of people that are just gonna be fed up with it and decide to quit. This is a good time to quit, I guess, or retire. Do something else.
Christian, I'm not a political guy or anything, so what would be, just to put it out there to our viewers, and what would be as a citizen, and or if you don't have a CDL or you do, but as a citizen, what would we do? Right, our congressman?
Yeah, your congressman. So in our District 5 is Bob Good, and Morgan Griffith in Virginia is 7, which is mostly Southwest. So if you're towards the Lynchburg area and Charlottesville, that would be Bob Good in District 5. And the reason that you know this is because they're your local representation. I will also work with Delegate Walker with the DMV for Virginia, with Youngkin's campaign to try to expedite some tags and things. That would be one way. The other is to look at who's involved in the highway groups. I'll have to get the exact name of it off the top of my head, but your local congressman is a great place to start, right? And it is. And given a call in their office, and they have a regional presence, so it might take a 30 or 45-minute drive to get there, but go by their office if you need to. If not, blow up their phone and their email. It's a generic email that they give you, but they do read them and they will respond. But that's where I'd start. Kind of to get back to where Ray was saying on, it could increase the rates. I think it's going to increase the rates at the shopping center and everywhere else. I've never seen, compliance drive the rates of transportation. It's always just, well, this is on the driver and the trucking company, and they're big pieces of equipment, so they must make a ton of money. They don't understand that there's a huge gross number and a small net to a lot of what we do with a large liability tied behind it. So I would hope that we would have rates raised, but I look at, if they want to focus on something, focus on shipper and receiver detention times. Do something that doesn't put those drivers in a position that they're working towards their end of the clock late in the day because they sat around for 7 hours and no one cares and no one's paying them for that time. If we had fair compensation and we were able to get out of there quicker, we'd have less guys going faster down the highway. Most of it's rushing to get a paycheck. If I sat there for 6 hours and knew I was getting paid for it, I'm less likely to do 85 and a 70. Not saying that it happens, but I'm less likely to carry that kind of speed down the road.
Well, not only that, if they fix the shipping and receiving issues, I've talked about that for a long time, but if they fix that, once you raise the detention rates, how long do you think they're going to keep holding trucks up for 6 and 7 hours? I bet they push to get them out of there a lot quicker when they're having to pay for it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I really just think that when it comes to the rates at the shippers and receivers, all they do is pass that buck down to the consumer anyways in the end, so the only real option, I believe, and I could be wrong, but the only real option you have is if you deal with a shipper or receiver that likes to hold you up for 5 to 10 hours, just stop hauling for that, for that broker, tell your broker you're not going to haul for that company that does that. That's the only way, honestly, that they get the message.
Target, Kroger.
I was going to say Kroger.
All these.
By the way, for legal definitions, we're just using these as examples.
Yeah.
It could be
all hypotheticals.
Right?
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Sorry, Switch.
Definitely don't start burning down guard
I can
shacks
legally
at
tell you
Kroger.
about my personal experience at Target and Kroger, right?
Right.
You absolutely can, and you can legally be served on a personal notice.
And I'm with you, Mike. I mean, I've called on loads and find out who the shipper receiver is, and I'm like, no, thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the rate?
canceled loads
there is
doing
no
that.
rate. There's no rate.
Right.
Yeah. How many times have I tried to get home and Ian says, "Hey, I got a load going to San Antonio," and the first question I ask is, "It HEB?"
Uh-huh.
And he'll let me find out. I'll call you back, and he'll call me back. Yeah, it's HEB. No, I don't want it.
8 hours at the dock.
Except the tortillas there. I love their tortillas. Ray's going to freeze some and bring me some. So thank you, HEB, for having great tortillas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is in I guess the gathering of facts stage. What, Christian, a little more about stuff like this than I do. What do you think the time frame, if you had to guess, would be where if they gather the facts and then they get this to where when could this possibly come out and happen?
It's going to be a 3 to 5 year rollout on new equipment. I think it's going to be really hard pressed for them to pass legislation on older equipment. It's kind of like forcing someone to do something versus giving them the option. They're going to go with the run option first. They'll get the manufacturers in line. There'll probably be some sort of tax incentive or, something that would incentivize them to do it, other than just safety, right? Because they're selling to us. They're not selling to the government. They're selling to us. They are selling to the government, but not by large numbers. So I think kind of a 3 to 5 year rollout is what I think we should typically expect. By the time they, from this point there, it might take a year to gather the data, process, and start to put bills in place. It'll likely get shot down unless we have the houses that we do now, which love writing legislation, not political, just factual. Again, right, Mike, just factual. That's my personal statement on that. Not political, but I would say 3 to 5 years. I think that'd be an accurate depiction where it goes from partial to full stream, where it goes from new trucks, and then they try to write legislation and say, look at what this has done, and they'll start to use examples of fatality rates and everything else.
I know Congress has a website open right now, and it's only open for 30 days to listen. And I think I sent it to you, Joel, last Wednesday. I think they're going to close it by the 30th, opening just for remarks for people's opinion on this whole speed limiter thing.
Can you send me that link, Joel?
Yeah. Joel, we'll get the link forwarded to Kumar and Ray, but Kumar, maybe you can put it on our social media for the Talkin Truckin.
Let's give that link next week for everybody else too. It's 10,000 people watching. So,
and there's no, they haven't figured out the speed.
Yeah.
Yet, no.
No, it's all in the fact finding stages. Basically, the speeds that have been thrown around are 62, 65, 68. Then like we said, the other thing you can do is write your congressman. I've actually had to do that one time in my life over a completely different subject, but that's one thing you can do. If everybody does it, it makes a difference. So we'll get that link put up. Kevin, what do you think? I didn't hear you, Kevin. We were talking about this a little earlier. What's your opinion of this?
Well, I mean, everybody else pretty much covered what I would have said. I did read in there on that article you sent me that they're saying that for anybody that has the emergency braking system or that radar system on the front, that they actually said in there that it was talked about possibly making the speed limit for them trucks up to 70 mile an hour.
I did read that too. So with that safety equipment, you might be able to go a few miles an hour faster.
But I don't see where that safety equipment works any better. I don't see where that's really going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
I feel like that equipment, it's on my truck. So I feel like sometimes it's more dangerous than not having it at all.
Well, at the end of the day, you're going to have two trucks going down the road at the same speed, and whoever has the lighter load, as soon as they start to hit a little bit of a hill, that truck's going to get ahead, but you're going to have it will be both lanes tied up if you're on a 2-lane highway. It's going to be both lanes tied up with a truck for a long time trying to pass the other, waiting for a hill. It doesn't make any sense.
In that article you sent out also that they were supposed to be considering a manual override for passage situations.
Yeah, I think I did read a little bit. I don't remember what it all said, but I think it did say something like that in there, and I don't know what that looks like either. But the whole thing, when you start putting more government into an industry that's already heavily regulated, wouldn't you agree, Christian? Heavily regulated.
Yeah, if we haven't figured it out with the amount of regulations we have to this point, more government's not going to help.
Exactly, and that's really where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, last I heard, the trucking industry is the most heavily regulated industry in the whole country.
I can believe it. Yeah,
and
I get
it's going
to
drive, to Christian's point, it's going to drive the smaller guys out, the owner operators, the smaller carriers. It's going to hurt. It's going to
probably one of the goals.
All the major carriers, all the big guys, they already got the speed limiters. They don't. I mean, it's already in place for them. It's not going to hurt them one bit. But
not at Swift when you're doing 62 if you're a company driver, and I think if you become a Swift quote unquote owner operator, they raise you up to 65. 63. I think it's a little faster than that, but 65 or 68, something like that.
In all fairness, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in all fairness, most of Swift's accidents are in a parking lot.
That's true.
That is true.
Well, wasn't Swift at one time governed their trucks at 55, and then Arizona come in and told them they had to raise their speed limits?
I'm not sure, but when I started there as did a lot of people. Joel and I were there, and it was 62 miles an hour at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the speed limits need to be the same no matter what vehicle you are in on that road. It needs to be the same for all vehicles.
You mean the max speed if it's whatever it is?
All traffic should be going similar speeds.
Whether you're a four-wheeler or a truck. Well, that's the whole concept is that keep it relatively around the same speed for the flow of traffic to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say, I was going to respond to what Mike said about the, it's going to help, it's going to try to drive out the smaller carriers or the 2-3 truck operations or whatever. But what are the chances? What do you guys think? What are the chances that it actually does the opposite? And the bigger carriers are going to be the ones enforcing this real tightly. So we're going to have safety at the bigger carriers are always going to be watching you and, weeding people out there doing that. So where are they going to go? They're going to go onto the smaller carriers, where they're probably less likely to bug you as much because they just all they care about is getting the load there. I mean, they may be required to, say something, but they may just overlook it or look the other way because they want to make money too. And, and that could be an influx of people running to the smaller carriers. I'm just thinking, what do you guys think about that?
I would say law enforcement would probably target smaller carriers more.
Yeah. But they still got to be in all places at all times. Limiter or not, if you're rolling into mountains, you're still capable of doing 90 miles an hour down the hill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's worth talking about. Like you said, Christian, it could be right around the corner, 3 to 5 years. So we'll get that link out. Maybe click the link, go on there and put a comment to Congress. And then if you can do it, write a letter and send it to your congressman, your local congressman.
And one of those agencies or groups in DC that's fighting back against a lot of totalitarian kind of governing is called the Freedom Caucus. And that might be something that guys want to take a look at because they are responsive. I think at least that's what I found here.
And we can put that stuff on our social media pages, Facebook, Christian, Kumar.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, so we'll watch this and we'll keep you updated as we know things. So, Ian, other than that, what's going on in the trucking news?
Well, there's this big thing about an FMCSA's plan to govern trucks I was going to go over.
I took his
stole
thunder.
your thunder. That's
so,
stole your thunder.
I got a couple other things I could go over, but you stole my thunder. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
All right, we're looking at the Port of Los Angeles here. Doesn't look too crazy. It's really, things have calmed down there, or at least they're catching back up to normal flow. But what I wanted to look at was Shanghai again. All right, here we go. It is a gigantic cluster flock. It is totally. I said flock.
Flock. That was FLOCK.
Thank you, Christian.
Sir.
Thank you. Shout out to AC. It is a total mess over here. Just container ships stacked on top of container ships. China likes to say that they're not experiencing any problems, but we know how the news comes out of China. Take it with a grain of salt. Things are bad, it looks like.
Is Shanghai still on lockdown?
Yeah. Lots of cities are. That's a whole nother story, though. Hopefully we see that get cleared up and we don't see too many repercussions around the world, because it is one port right now, or like one major port that's shut down. This was an interesting article sent to me by Christian. They are looking to use a compound in dandelions to be used in tires. The compound is Terra. Oh man,
try it. Do it.
Yeah, say that word. And make sure you pause.
Taraxacum.
Yeah, Taraxacum
Air horn.
Segalia. I don't know. It's some crazy name.
This is going to get bad really quick.
Pterococcicum cock something. I don't know. It is going to be possibly used in tires. Could save a bunch of money. But they don't like.
I swear this is not why I did not send him this article for this reason. I thought this was relative. I can't where his mind takes it.
But I start pronouncing things however they were pronounced. So yeah, it could be interesting. Hopefully, it would bring tire costs down. I think they had looked at using hemp at one point for something similar, but that was shot down as well by the rubber companies because somebody would make more money than them. This was really interesting. There's a bridge over in Joliet, they call it a viaduct, was hit by somebody with a container, and while police were on the scene checking that out, somebody else ran into the same bridge while the police were still there, and it looks like someone with the same basic container. So
monkey see, monkey do.
He probably went by and he's like, man, that guy was an idiot.
Yeah.
They're doing the same speed limit.
He's like, why would he use the left lane? It looks so much smaller.
Yeah, right. He had to have said that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man.
Bad mess there. This one's interesting. This was out west. A driver had lost his mind apparently. Let's see if we can. There he is, tearing someone's side of their car off, and then he killed
Dozer.
Yeah.
Get out of my way.
I don't know if he couldn't find parking or if Walmart held him up too long or what, but he goes around the building. Check this out.
No video.
Here he comes around the corner.
Oh, I see him.
Oh my gosh.
Then he hits the back of that other truck.
Maybe you should have said when.
So not too much is really known about this guy losing his mind, but luckily this other driver was there to catch it on video.
Oh my goodness.
He was at the receiver for 8 hours.
He's probably mad he didn't get detention pay.
Out in Washington, a state trooper pulled this guy over. Turns out this is not how you're supposed to use your U-Haul.
That's amazing.
U-Haul would not approve.
I mean, I'm impressed that it's staying up there. I mean, like, this guy, he has a strap going over the top.
Well, the majority of the weight's in the front.
Yeah.
How to get it in there.
Yeah, but once you start driving,
couple 2x10s as a ramp.
I was probably like, I can't even be mad at this. You just go ahead.
That's impressive.
I mean, I'm kind of just impressed that.
So did it
got
say?
It in there.
Did he get a ticket?
Oh yeah, yeah. No. That guy wasn't even allowed to continue from there. They yeah.
What was the ticket for though?
That's what I was
overweight or sticking out.
Overweight.
Let me see. I think it was improper securement, something like that. Oh yeah. Both the U-Haul and the car inside were impounded.
Oh my goodness.
By the way, they have
Florida.
U-Haul has the dollies.
And then last thing I got here is I've been seeing this more and more. I just haven't really put it on the news, but lots of credit card skimmers have been found on gas pumps. So whenever you're filling up, just tug on where you put the card in. Mm-hmm. If it's loose or not secure very well, check it out. Talk to the attendant.
So explain that to me. I've never heard of it.
So what these scammers do is they create a device that looks like identical to where you put your card in, okay? And they slip it over top of it. It's made to just go right on top, so you don't even notice and look exactly the same.
So you're putting your card in there.
No, you're still putting it into the gas pump.
But they're getting your information.
Yeah, it reads the information off the card, and then they come back and take this device off, and then they have whoever filled up credit card information
I use my credit card at the pump all the time.
Yeah.
Also,
going to the window.
Also, too, where they have where it opens up at, look for the sticker that the gas station puts on it. There should be a little strip, and if that strip is cut or broken, don't use it either because they'll open that up that they'll open that up and put the device on the inside too.
Yeah. So I think it's the local auditors for that county, whoever. Yeah, they go, or the weights and
measures. They have to calibrate the scale to make sure that you're getting it.
So if that sticker's ever that
the
seal's
attendants
ever
are supposed to check them daily and open them up and put
sure
stickers
don't.
on them. Yeah, probably not.
Right, but you
can also get these newer cards that it's kind of like you put it by kind of like the way the Apple Pay is. You put it by the where you would insert your card without having to insert your card, and that they say that should be safer. Yeah. They say it should be safer.
No, but this is something that happens all the time. So like when you hear about someone like, I went on vacation to Myrtle Beach or whatever, but someone's using my credit card up in New Jersey. This is what it usually is. They got your credit card information from a skimmer, and someone else is using it.
Somebody got one of my cards not that long ago, and I had to stop it and order a new card. And the bank, luckily, I do have a pretty good bank. They caught it. Well, I caught it and told them, but then they took the charge off me, and they investigated themselves. But someone charged $1,200 worth of Instacart, which I think is groceries, right?
Yeah,
basically
delivery service for groceries.
Yeah, so there were $1,200 of groceries, I guess, or it was Instacart. So then I had to cancel it. They canceled the card and sent me a new one. I have no idea really how that happened. I never.
Yeah, my brother had that happen to him. He used it all the time to buy fuel, and the bank actually caught it. He didn't have a chance to, but it was like the next day, and they called him and says, "Hey, did you buy this here?" No, I was 100 miles away from there.
Yeah. I can't get mad at my bank because I've been doing a lot of traveling back and forth lately, and so I've been trying to use one credit card, which I do like to use because I get points on it, but they a couple of times already they've blocked my card and declined, and it's embarrassing. And I pulled out another card, but I can't really get mad at my bank because they're just trying to protect me, and I try to let them know when I'm going out of town, but I'd forgot. And then it's like an hour to get a hold of the bank to reactivate your card.
Yeah,
and
the algorithm doesn't recognize your activity. That's why.
One of them almost cost me because I've been booking one-way trips down to Georgia, to Jacksonville, Florida, and I booked my trip back home last week, and I didn't really check my email from American Airlines. So I booked it with my credit card, and my card was declined. And I booked the ticket one way back home the day before I was flying out to come home. And so when I got to the airport, I happened to go to the desk, and they're like, you have to call. There's a problem with your payment selection, and immediately I knew. And so I had to wait. It took I ended up changing cards. And luckily, the plane was sold out too, but luckily it was within the 24-hour window that I had booked it, and the payment was declined, because after 24 hours, they would have kicked me out. I would have totally missed the flight. But I did get it on another card, and then I had to wait an hour for the bank to get a hold of me to reactivate it. But like I said, I can't really get mad because it's the bank trying to protect you from someone else stealing your information or your money. But yeah.
I think you can sign up for there's a security feature where they'll shoot you a text and say, "Is this your thing?" and you just respond yes, and then the payment will go through if they rerun it.
They do that to me, Mike, most of the time, but I didn't get a text those last few times, and it could be the area I was in. I don't know. It just declined the card. And the airline one, I didn't even know it because I didn't go back in and check my email from them. I just assumed everything was good until I got to the airport. But
yeah, so that happened to me too on my when I went home 3 weeks ago. Anyways, I got a notification from Navy Federal Credit Union from my bank, and they said that they had declined an $800 and something purchase of shoes, right? And I'm like
Irene was shopping, wasn't she? Right.
That's the first thing I did. I called
Those red bottom heels.
Yeah, Irene, she's big into shoes, right? So I called her and said, "Hey, by any chance you didn't order any shoes on my credit card, did you?" And she's all like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I just got a decline for $800 worth of shoes." And she's like, first thing out of her mouth is, "Oh, hell no! You better call up the bank, because if I'm not getting shoes, then nobody else is getting shoes." Yeah, so they canceled my card, sent me a new one within 3 days, and I was good to go. But yeah. They caught it. They did catch it.
Well, that's good. I wonder if it was one pair of shoes, like those red bottom shoes that are real expensive, or was it some Jordans?
Should have asked.
Pairs?
They didn't say, but they did tell me the location and the store. It was actually in El Paso, Texas.
Yeah. You live nowhere near there, and you don't go there.
Yeah, I got a notification one time that someone got like $124 and stuff at a Wawa in New Jersey. And it sent right to my phone. I was on it like in a second. I was in the bank bank in like 5 minutes. I was like, we got to get this figured out.
Yeah, and you've never been to Jersey.
No, never, not once.
What's a Wawa? He said. It's like, I know what it is. I've been there, but it's like
I had to look it up. I was like, a Wawa.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Christian, Mike, you got some guys you can kind of fill us in on some market stuff. What have you been doing? I haven't really booked much freight this past month.
Yeah, I mean, we can just open it up for discussion with the market, but it's been, for vans, it's been tough. Tom called me yesterday saying, "Why don't you switch over to flatbed?" And I knew last summer, it was funny because last summer I knew van rates were doing so well. Reefer and flatbed was kind of behind them, when everyone was doing well. And I was like, man, and I think it was mainly because of materials, everything was short last year, but this year, man, I think this summer flatbed's going to get it. They're gonna get theirs.
And that's what Tom said today to me. He said he's killing it with the flats now, and it's seasonal. It'll be good like this until construction seasons start to wind down, and then that kind of takes some volume out of that.
Yeah, I mean, for me right now, I'm trying to get guys to our customers.
That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's what
Texas,
we're doing.
North Carolina, and just kind of bouncing them back and forth and calling ahead, making sure they have something. And
that's one thing
I told Joel, because they're opening up bidding for some of those.
Yeah, and that's Joel and I were talking about that, Mike. I know we've all talked about it, but even if you're just sending guys back to the area where we have a customer, if they don't have a load, that's fine. Then we work off the spot market. But if you just keep doing that, more times than not, you're going to get loaded.
Yeah.
And those, if you look at it over a whole picture, maybe of a month, or and keep going back, it helps balance out that cheaper rate that you're going to get somewhere else up through a broker.
That, or if you are working the spot market, just look at what markets are doing well. Like I even think outside of our customers in North Carolina, I think the Carolinas, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're starting to do really well. There's been a bunch of
they are
coming out of that area.
Yeah, Savannah, Georgia's like 30-1 with a high ratio. Atlanta, Georgia market north is going there. Richmond in that area started turnover. There's not a lot of volume in Virginia yet, but yes, Carolina it's there. And it typically is. It kind of starts with Florida, right, as Tom has said before, and it kind of floats up into Georgia and comes into Carolina.
Yeah.
And depending on the kind of season that we have, it's how quickly it happens and how long it lasts.
Texas is starting to surprise me as well. I've seen some decent rates coming out of there.
Laredo too,
and that's
Laredo's been great.
Yeah, it's been that way for a couple of weeks. I'm concerned to see where the volumes go. I was going to pull that up earlier. I know spot posts are up 12.5 points week over week as far as the posts. The truck post is only up 2.3% week over week. So week over week's not a huge number, but if you look at, we had a 12% increase in posts and only 2% increase in truck post, right, as opposed to load post, and we've only had 0.2% on van and reefer freight as far as rate increases. So again, at some point, I wish a winter storm would happen, right, and it would, everybody can hit the pause button. We'll have 3 hard days, but then all of a sudden people understand that things still need to continue to move in this country.
Yeah.
When you have a load to truck ratio where you have more loads than you do trucks, we're in the winning seat. We're just not taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And you see loads like I had a guy, he was in Texas actually, and I told him, and he delivered, and he was over there, and he was delivering to a place we weren't sure how long they were going to take to unload them, and and we couldn't get them to one of our customer loads in time. And I was looking, and finally I said, man, just go to a truck stop. I'll look for tomorrow or something. I refused to load them for, under $2 a mile or whatever it was. I said, man, I'm not going to load you. You're just going to put it in the tank, especially at fuel prices. So I said, I'm not just going to run you to run you.
Well, another thing, like I said, if you're going to just keep targeting different areas that we have a customer, or you have a customer to go back to, consider, I don't like to sit, but consider if you're in an area where there's a good chance that, okay, today you got there and today there's no customer freight, but if you can sit a day and then get, consider that. I know that Ian's done that a few times in here where he's talked to me about it, and, you got to weigh that option. Maybe I just sit today and wait for that customer load. They might have it tomorrow, and it'll help you.
It's really hard to do sometimes. Like there's just something programmed into your brain.
I know
you don't want to let anybody sit ever.
Right. And I don't like to sit either. I mean, I always feel like you're costing whatever you put on a truck per day. But I guess you got to just kind of weigh each situation separately, because if I going to take a load just to pay for fuel, or would I rather sit a day, get my laundry done, and hopefully that customer load will be there tomorrow, and I can get out of there at a decent rate where I can make money. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it.
And I've been doing is I've been getting, if I'm looking at the boards and I don't see anything for that day, and the customer doesn't have a load, I'll look for today and tomorrow. Because tomorrow I might find a load in the same area that needs to be picked up that's $500 more. So now I just got you than anything I can find today. So now if you look at it in that sense, you're getting paid $500 to wait.
You're not spending fuel, right?
Well, you're getting, and this load that picks up tomorrow, I got you $500 more on the same lane or similar lane than what I could find today. Because with the loads being more load to truck ratio, there's still plenty of loads out there. Guys are just grabbing them for whatever reason, thinking they're not going to be there. So they're grabbing them cheap to pay the bills. But sometimes if you just, and I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at waiting for a load, or I want to get loaded or get them loaded and go. But I've really found that if I can't find nothing for today, and I look for today and tomorrow, sometimes I find the better load posted tomorrow.
Well, and to tag on to what Christian went over last week, focus on the things that you can control, and I guess kind of don't fret over. I mean, the market is what it is. I mean, we're going to do the best we can, and we're all in it together. And, like you said, the volume's there, it'll come, but focus on the things that you can control. And, maybe we're not making, as a driver, you're not making as much as you were the last 2 years. We were killing it. And you guys heard us, we all on this show said it, you got to make hay when the sun's shining. And I mean, I do payroll for our fleet. I've seen the kind of money you guys were making the last 2 years was amazing. Ray, can I use you as an example? As far as how much you had saved over just the last year in your reserve?
Yeah, that's fine. You
don't mind? Ray had $11,000 in there, just in his reserve. And I'm not talking about his own bank account, and still made great money. And, he had, Ray, what was that repair that you did last week? $5,000?
Yeah, it was a little shy of $5,000 plus the parts that I ordered on my own account too.
Yeah. And I called him and I said, Ray, do you want me to get it out of your reserve and pay it? And he said, yeah, that's, and he's still got a good chunk of money in there. So that's the point, saving and not just you got a $4,000, $5,000 paycheck. I mean, come on, guys, we can all live on less than that. And that's where Ray was doing it right. He was putting, money into his reserve to help for a rainy day, or if the market got a little cheaper.
Yeah. Russ, this reminds me a lot of 2008 when we had contractors that were in business. Yeah. And you had guys that had overheads and going out of business. And you had some guys that said, I'm bidding the job just to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is you're cutting the throats of everybody else that's still trying to have similar margins and a successful business. And so you have the same thing in transportation. I mean, it's difficult when you still see the load to truck ratio. I keep going back to the same thing Mike said, you have to be patient. You have to be diligent. But a tender rejection index is based off of how many times you say no. So even if you're more picky about it, have the broker sweat it instead of you. Find that perfect piece of freight. Find something that works with a good rate. Take it. Let the rest of the stuff sit out on the board. Because the longer that rejection goes to the next day, the better optics it is. And by the way, that also means that all the spot load posts, they're going to continue to post that freight. But if you just post your truck up, right? I mean, it's all analytical data. And that's what everyone's looking at, the same 3 or 4 sources of information, right?
Well, Mike, you do that. Mike, I mean, I know guys in here do too, but Mike, you still post when you're planning your guys, you're still posting every truck, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I post a lot. I don't post as many anymore because of the customer freight and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, when I get into an area, especially like a good area or something, I'll throw the truck up there to see what happens, or even a bad area. I'll throw it up ahead of time and just see. I use it too as just a gauge for the calls I get, to see, and then if something is good, I hop on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do still post them.
So Christian, you got a screen share for us this week?
I do. I'm not sure how much time we have, but I sure do, Russ. I sure do.
We do. We have a little time. Yeah,
we're good.
And I wanted to know, did you bring back the teeter-totter guy?
No, I didn't yet. No. Sorry to disappoint you.
All right, we'll close it down. We're moving on.
That's it. Show's over, guys. All right, episode 56. Last week, I guess, or maybe 2 weeks ago, we talked about the fact that, are we in a recession? Why are freight rates and things going where they're at? And we know we talked about inventories being stocked and having supply chain issues overseas. So I thought I'd bring up the definition of a recession first. This is not to fear monger and scare, but it's just to kind of give some backside and definition to it. So the working definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of a negative economic growth as measured by the country's gross domestic product, which is the GDP, through the Bureau of Economic Research. It doesn't necessarily need to have this to happen to call it a recession. And you can measure it over different periods. So I guess I'll go into what is gross domestic product. I'm not an economist, but I'm going to play one on a trucking podcast here. But the GDP measures the monetary value of all the goods and all the services, that's brought into the final user and produced in a country in any given period of time. So an ideal GDP growth, what people would say, like what would be a regular GDP growth for those that don't really know a lot about it, and I don't. I mean, I've talked around it, but they say between 2 and 3%. That's what Google tells me. I don't know if it's factual or not. But the quarterly GDP growth was 3.3% in the fourth quarter of 2021, according to that, from September through December. How is the GDP made up? Well, it's 4 main categories that the calculations on how they're figured. So a country's total GDP is total consumer spending, business investments, government spending, and then net exports, which is the total exports minus the total imports. This is what the GDP looks like since 2006, right? So there's been a couple times that it's dropped down. We've had a negative GDP. Everyone remembers this section over here in 08, right? And then we understand that the other large markers were COVID, right? Where we had a huge downfall and then almost a yo-yo where it came back up. Well, so you'll find that we had 1 quarter down, and that we had some strong returns. But coming back from a post-COVID world, it does show that the first quarter of this past year was 0.4%, so 0.4% as far as a loss, or 1.4. So the U.S. economy did shrink, but they still say that underlying measurements were solid. And for some of that, it's because we spend like a drunken sailor. So it was the first time that it's contracted really since the demands and everything lifted off of COVID. But there was a sharp reversal from the fourth quarter. They go into why. They talk about the calculation, and a lot of it had to do with reduced government spending, because that's one of the 4 quadrants that they measure for GDP. They also talk about how the underlying issues would be with trade and the value of the dollar, things that have happened in Ukraine and Russia, and how the rest of the world has not recovered as well as we have. So our exports are down. And then we also have an import issue. So not to get too deep into the GDP, but I thought it would be beneficial for those that are worried about why we don't have any freight on the market. It's not necessarily that there isn't freight to be had out there. there's less of it. There are obviously, inventories are being met. There are still breaks in the supply chain, but it's not to be, this isn't for doom and gloom. Although we do have a lot less government money running into people's pocketbooks, which is reflected, what I think is reflected here. So still the resilience that could be tested in the upcoming months as the fastest inflation in 4 decades continues to take a toll. Consumer prices rose at a 7% annual rate in the first quarter. The Americans' after-tax incomes adjusted for inflation fell for the 4th quarter in a row. So much like how we have contract and spot rates that start to change, and then we have add fuel in there, we have something similar where we have a higher inflation, and then we also have lower earnings. So I guess, I don't know if it's good news, but the good news is you're not alone. The bad news is there are other people there suffering as well. But the total of 46% rated their personal finances positively, down from 57% a year ago. So, and there are a number of reasons for it. But American retailers basically saying that we continue to outspend ourselves. So while we have a GDP that is negative, we continue to spend money. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but people are still confident. They're putting less money in their savings, and they're still spending money even though there's less of it to be had out there.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with how much money was injected into the economy during COVID. You had the PPP loans, the other loans,
also you had unemployment that was endless.
Unemployment, and then the $1,200 they gave out to everybody a couple times or whatever. But yeah, there was a ton of money injected between all that. So I mean, I think people are still spending some of that. Some of them people that had got big loans and businesses, and once that spending's done, they're still going to have that payment.
I agree, and I think that's the scary part of having a higher spending and saving ratio. And I'm not beating on Dave Ramsey or giving him a bunch of praise, but I do think there's something to make sure that you do put money away for a rainy day and just really solid financials. And we talked about the things that you can control. So, save your money,
So John Buchanan, you still with us? Did John?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
John's one of our drivers that Joel's his dispatcher. John, you pretty much book your own freight, right? And I know Joel helps.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I've kind of let Joel. I mean,
you lean on Joel when you need to.
Yeah. No, I lean on Joel a lot. I mean,
okay.
I mean, Joel, he'll find them, and then he's like, "Hey, you want this? Yes or no?" But
yeah. And so, what's your opinion, John? I know you wanted to come on, and how are you feeling about there's definitely a change from where we're at now to where we were last year.
Right now, the rates. I mean, it's really is. It's a struggle out here.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know that. I know the rates are still where they used to be, but the thing is the spot market rates are down because the brokers are keeping that in their pocket.
Oh, the carrier.
And they're not passing that on.
Well, they would have done that last year too if they could have. The issue, when they've got more people calling them for the same load, it's like the bidding is just flip flopped for what I mean, and so they're keeping a little bit more now.
Plus you got people taking it. I mean, it's a business. You got people taking them at that rate.
Yeah,
and they're certainly gonna give it to them.
In here, it takes a lot more calls to book a load if you're working the spot market.
Because right now, I mean, honestly, I'm not making money out here.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of guys that are just getting by.
I mean,
well, the biggest factor is fuel costs still right now because rates aren't terrible. I mean, they're not bad. I mean, they're where they were a couple of years ago, even still higher.
Fuel's jumped up. Yeah,
fuel is I mean, it's a huge expense. It's probably close to $1 a mile, right? Fuel cost.
Oh yeah, a buck a mile, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the hardest part about this job now as a driver or owner operator is the shopping for your fuel.
Yeah.
How do you do it, Jim?
I have several apps that I look at my route, and I shop my prices on my way of where I'm going, where I should buy it. Just like last night, it just so happens right across the intersection on the interstate in Georgia, I found a Quick Trip had fuel for $4.94 in Georgia. Now that's like 30 to 40 cents a gallon cheaper than most of them.
Yeah.
So fill up right there, right now.
Yeah.
What about you, now, Nate? Nate, do you use a fuel app, or how are you?
Honestly, what I try to do.
Can you speak into your mic, your headset more, Nate? We can't hear you. No, you sound like you're in a wind tunnel.
I mean, I use Fuelbook, I use Gas Buddy,
Ray. I think Ray, you use the Loves app, don't you?
Yeah, I use the Loves app. I use the what's called the tax map as well, the colored tax map. Me and Johnny Five share every quarter basically what the tax changes are in fuel prices throughout the states. And
Johnny sends that to me too.
Yeah, Johnny's real good about that stuff as well. So we have those conversations, and I mean, all I can say is I look for the cheapest prices and I close my eyes whenever I fuel up.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the price.
Yeah.
Well, another thing is, man, if fuel is where you're gonna save or spend the most money. So one thing I see guys doing, and it's hurting them, is fueling, and especially the guys that are on positive pay, getting paid after each load, is fueling for that load, just putting fuel in for that load, and then because they don't want to put too much in because of that, the money they get paid on that load, they just want to fuel enough to get that load turned in. But you may end up spending a lot more money in fuel that way, rather than just like Jim said, you find where it's cheap and fill up.
Yeah.
Just route your route, and where it's cheapest, fill up. And
because it'll catch up
the best way.
Itself.
Yeah, because no matter what, you're spending money on fuel. No matter what, you're going to need fuel. No matter what.
Yeah, that method works, Dodie. Yeah, that method works if you're. Go ahead.
If I'm traveling like through Arkansas, I know south side of Little Rock. That Love's on the south side of Little Rock. That's normally cheaper. Little Rock's been cheaper. Louisiana down there on I-20 was cheap.
Yeah.
You just have to look around and be smart about it. Sometimes you can't go with the major brands like Love's or Pilot, TA. You just can't do it. Go to them. Now, be careful with your mom and pop's places, but you just have to look around and watch your routes you're going to go on. Sometimes I've even routed myself 20 miles out of the way around because I knew I could save 50 cents a gallon for the fuel.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
go ahead, Christian.
I was going to say, so fuel from a year ago, diesel on highway diesel fuel prices are up $2.43 versus where they were here a year ago.
So not only a year ago were the rates the highest they've ever been, but fuel prices were $2 a gallon cheaper, you said?
Yeah, $2.43, 2.437. So that's about a 50 divided by 5 cents at the pump is 1 cent per mile. So from fuel surcharge, that'd be 55 cents in fuel surcharge, not fuel cost.
Wow.
2.437. Yep.
Wow. So when you take that into consideration, rates being at an all-time high last year and then fuel being $2.40 cheaper.
Just on the 6 miles per gallon on the $2.43 on 6 miles is 40 cents a mile. So yep. And that's a minimum. But,
wow.
Yeah, there's deadening silence.
That's a big swing. Well, that's a big because think about the swing, because now rates are coming down and fuel has gone up $2.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
Well, and that the reason I showed the Glenn Beck, I didn't get into the video long enough, but he talks about how they're converting, like, our refineries. We haven't had one built in this country since like 1972. And he says, like, do you think you'd still have that clear telephone, or that if you bought a television from 1972 and looked at it today and brought it with another television today, like, would you want that same quality? And so, California is starting to change a lot over to like different blends of fuel. And so what that's doing is that's given an incremental rise to prices. Now they're saying they want to turn a lot of these gasoline refineries into diesel fuel. Well, what that's going to do, it's just going to raise the price of fuel. So the price of a car's fuel a year ago from today is up $1.36, which is still a lot. I mean, that's still asinine. Not a bad word, Russ. No.
Yeah, I got you.
It's up $1.36 over last year. Now we're almost twice that at $2.44 for diesel costs going up. But if we start substituting refineries out of standard gasoline and changing it to diesel, it's just going to increase the cost of fuel for everybody. Now we pay it in our goods now, but now we're going to have everybody start to pay it at the pumps.
At the pump also.
Yep.
So we can continue this conversation next week. We're gonna get on and take it out of here with trucking questions with Kumar. Joel, you got your questions ready?
I got them. Ready?
Drivers,
Question
John,
no,
Jim, Kevin, Ray. You guys ready?
Yeah, well, I'm ready.
I'll take the drivers if drivers win. Mike, you want Christian? Mike, who wants Kumar?
I saw the questions. I'll take Kumar.
Okay.
Saw the question.
All right.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Question 1, Kumar.
Yes, sir.
All right. When you hear in the rocking chair on the CB, what are they referring to? Is it A, an old truck driver, B, a retired truck driver, C, a truck on the road of a convoy?
A truck on the end of a convoy, Joel.
Or the truck on the end of a convoy.
No,
a truck on the end of a convoy, or a truck in the middle of a convoy.
Yeah, there you go.
You want me to say it again?
Yeah, what was that term?
In the rocking chair.
In the rocking chair.
On the CB, what are they referring to? An old truck driver, a retired truck driver, a truck on the end of a convoy, or in the middle of a convoy?
Retired driver.
He says a retired driver. Ray, Mackey, what are they referring to in the rocking chair on the CB?
Middle of the convoy.
Jim's got it. Joel's he right?
Yeah, he's right. D.
In the middle of the convoy.
I was going to ask Kumar if he's sure you wanted to stick with that answer.
Well, I took that question.
He didn't ask me, so I knew I got it wrong.
Kumar, this cup and this thermos here has all the CB stuff. I took it right off the cup when I wrote that question.
I read the whole thing one time.
I know you did. I know you've read it.
Oh, man.
Rocking chair right there. Wow. It's funny. All right,
I took the drivers this week, right?
No, I got them. 1-0, my guys, and it's 100 this week because we're almost done. I'm just kidding.
Break the bank.
Kumar, question 2: the vast majorities of commercial motor vehicles on the road have tires that are rated for up to what speed? Is it A, 65 miles per hour? Is it B, 80? C, 70? Or D, 75 miles per hour?
I'd say 75.
You sure?
Yep. Sticking to it.
Why would you say such a thing?
That's funny. All right, Jim, Ray, John, Kevin, Nate, is he right? Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The majority of tires are rated for 75. You have tires out there that are rated for higher than that, but they're so expensive that it's hard to, not too many people buy them unless it's in specialized stuff.
Mike Stazer would be so proud of us right now. It's
I know.
He's had conversations about.
And actually, Mike watches the show, so.
Excellent. What's
Yeah.
up, Mike?
Yep. All right, 1-1.
All right, question 3. Here we go. If you have a fire in a van trailer, what should you do?
A.
Go as fast as you can to try to get the fire to go out. B. Extinguish with water. C. Uncouple the truck and get out of there. Or D. Leave the trailer doors closed. If you have a fire in a van, what should you do?
You guys are getting lazy. I already did this one.
Yep.
Yeah, we
The
did.
door closed. Next one.
You copied and came in here and said it. So.
Okay. Well, Joel, that was Joel's question, so I didn't know it was a rerun.
Yeah, that's a rerun.
All right.
That depends on the driver.
2-1.
We might.
Now he wants to
We might have to use the bonus question, Joel.
We're down to 50 bonus question. All right. 4. If your brakes fail going down a hill and there's no runaway truck ramp, what should you do? A. Press the brakes hard and hold them. B. Turn off the truck and coast. C. Drive into an open field if possible. D. Jump out as fast as you can. Or
D was speed up as fast as you can.
Or I was going to correct that, Russ.
I got
D. Speed up as fast as you can. Or E. Jump out of the truck. Now I got to say it all over again.
Probably go to a field. Get in the field.
Why would you do that?
I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. I'm smarter now.
It's not where your consonant is. All right. If your brakes fail going down a hill, there's no runaway truck ramp. You should drive into an open field if possible.
That is the correct answer. Did you agree, Mackie?
Sure, if it's possible, but you know what? You better hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on is right.
Speed up as fast as you can. I like that one.
All right. Question 5. Kumar, if you encounter a tornado while driving, what should you not do? A. Seek shelter under an overpass. B. Drive out of the path of the tornado. C. Park and get away from the vehicle into a ditch or culvert. C. Park, keep your seatbelt on, and put your head down below the windows. Or E. Call Cody.
Probably not park under an overpass.
Why?
Ding, ding, ding. I got it. Because overpasses are dangerous.
It's under an overpass.
Smoked.
Was that a rerun also, Joel?
Nope,
It's not,
that's just a
but-
stupid question.
I'm answering next week. He's getting the question.
Bonus question. It looks like Kumar wins, so I'll pay the $20 to the St. Christopher fund this week. Write that down, Kumar.
I'm
20
just
from
kidding,
me.
Joel. That was a great
All right,
question.
Kumar. Well, what is a team shower then?
Bonus question. At the truck stop,
A team shower?
what is a team shower?
What is?
I thought this was a clean podcast.
It is a sponsor shower.
Yeah, that is an open-ended question, guys.
Well, we decided not to give any A, B's, and C's. We want to see what his answer was. We have air horns.
Oh, man.
A team shower. If you walked to the fuel desk and said, I need a team shower, what's that?
You got like 5 guys to wash you.
It sounds like something that came up my son. So we needed these little tablets. I've been telling him to get the drop in when you sell shrimp. It just creates they're like a little aerator thing, but it's just a tablet, almost like Alka-Seltzer, right? For the bait. And I've been telling him to get them, and they're called bait buddies. So I guess he looked up bait.
Oh, no.
I'll just leave it alone as what came up.
So in other words, don't Google that, Mike.
He said he will not type it in the.
Enthusiasm
Yeah, he said he will not type it in the computer again.
It's kind of like when my brother he was looking up. He was trying to look up the website for Dick's Sporting Goods, and he just
It went
typed
south.
in the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was upsetting for him.
So drivers, can you fill in, Kumar? He thinks that if you go to the fuel desk and ask for a team shower, that you got people washing you. What is a team shower?
I bet it's for the truck. Anyways, go
He
ahead.
thinks it's for the truck now.
A team shower is what you need after you park the wiggle wagon.
If you have a rewards card, you can go to a truck stop. You only get charged for one shower, and the other one is free. And so it's 2 separate showers.
And it's separate showers, Kumar. So if you have a co-driver or someone that in the truck stop drivers are around and maybe doesn't have their a shower on his card, that happens. You can give them. You can get a team shower. You're paying for the price of one off your points, and you can give them their own shower ticket. You'll get a shower ticket, and it's separate showers. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
So that's a wrap.
Go Indians.
Yeah, well, guys, it was a great show. Have a great week. Keep the shiny side up, and
Got any questions?
Got any questions for Kumar? Contact Joel.
Maybe we've exhausted the trucking questions. Maybe we can go to a different subject.
Yeah, we can go.
I could quiz you guys. Kumar's questions on Kumar's life.
Fishing with Kumar. We're going to do fishing questions for the fishing contest. Maybe we should do. Joel, how about we'll just what
kind of bait?
We're starting to fish.
Trout eat.
Here's what we're going to do. A lot of people fish. A lot of drivers fish. We're going to start the fishing contest June 1st, that whatever day we do the show around that date. So next week and then the following week should be that week.
Fish questions?
For the next 2 weeks, let's do fishing questions. So you can get with Mike Doty. You guys can come up with the questions with Kumar. Fishing with Kumar.
Deal.
To kick off the fishing contest. Remember, guys.
Bring up pictures of fish and see what he knows.
There you go. You guys are in charge of the questions. Doty and Christian, you can throw in there with Joel and Doty and see if you guys can come up with some good fishing questions. And remember, the fishing contest starting in 2 weeks, $400 gift card. No, $500. Mike put $100 in from Fish Stalkers. $500 for the first place, $200 for the second place, and third place $100. So it's going to be a fun contest.
Throw a $50 card in for second place too.
There you go. So another $250 for second. Write that down, Kumar, because Mackie
$50.
$50 for second place from Mackie. It'll be Doty Fish Stalkers $100, and then $100 from the show for third place. So $500, $250, and $100.
Deal.
You have online shipping for live bait?
For live?
No, in-store pickup only.
So, with that, guys, have a great, safe week, and
hey, hold on.
Go Kumar.
Wait. Yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Talkin Truckin, no G's, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. And if you have any questions, send them in to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or if you want to email us, DeatonTruckingPodcast@gmail.com. Maybe even if you guys want to do like some video submissions, send in a video with a question or a comment, and we'll cover it on the show. So yeah. Anyways, back to you.
Yeah, and the whole speed limiter conversation we had to do with people getting a hold of Kumar for us to talk about it. So there you have it. That was cool. I'm glad we got to do it, and I hope we answered some of those questions with the information we had. Check out the Facebook, and we'll get that link that John sent in to Joel, and any other information that we can put on there, Kumar will. So, guys, with that said, Christian, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Doty?
Go Guardians, right?
Joel?
Go Indians.
Friday the 13th. Go Browns, go Cavaliers, and go Guardians.